Breaking news! Ravens fans have been caught off guard. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and I'm here to tell you everything. There were players released in the last few hours. And will the Ravens bring in a new name? I'll tell you everything. But first, make sure you've already hit the like button if you believe we'll go to the Super Bowl this season. If possible, write it like this: the Ravens will go to the Super Bowl. Although many people don't believe it, I do, so here we go. The Baltimore Ravens are at the center of speculation, as rumors circulate around the possible signing of former New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Jones, recently released by the Giants, is expected to clear waivers and seek a new opportunity with a team that's competing in the playoffs. Sources suggest that the Ravens and Minnesota Vikings are among the main competitors for his services. However, the move has sparked heated debate among Ravens fans, with many ruling Jones out as a viable option. Reports indicate that if the Ravens do sign Jones, it could be a low-risk deal intended to bolster depth rather than immediately impact the field. Critics argue that Jones, despite his struggles with a poorly managed Giants team, would not be a game-changer for Baltimore. Others suggest he could benefit from the Ravens' stronger organizational structure. The Ravens have also been active in trade talks, narrowly missing out on a deal for veteran defensive lineman Calais Campbell, a move blocked by the Dolphins. The missed opportunity highlights Baltimore's aggressive approach to strengthening its roster for a playoff run. Stay tuned for updates on those developments. Now let's change the subject. The Baltimore Ravens made a bold move today, releasing veteran safety Eddie Jackson. The decision took many fans by surprise, especially considering the expectations surrounding Jackson when he joined the team. For a franchise like the Ravens, known for their loyalty and careful roster management, this marks a significant shift in how they approach underperformance. If there's one thing this season has taught us, it's that the Ravens are not shying away from making tough decisions, regardless of contracts or status. The move to release Eddie Jackson wasn't just a roster shuffle. It was a direct message to the entire team. Performance is king, and no one is untouchable. This release opened up a roster spot for Christian Welch, a decision that aligns with the likelihood that linebacker Roquan Smith won't play in the upcoming game against the Chargers. Smith, who hasn't practiced all week, was already a question mark. And while John Harbaugh and others suggested he was still a possibility, most fans and analysts had already assumed he wouldn't suit up. Adding Welch to the roster solidifies that expectation, but it also raises questions about why Jackson was the one to go. Eddie Jackson was supposed to be a key piece in the Ravens' secondary this season. His reputation as a ball-hawking safety gave fans hope that he could add depth and playmaking ability, especially in a defense that thrives on turnovers. However, Jackson's time with the Ravens never lived up to the hype. This year, he struggled significantly, with his performances often contributing to defensive breakdowns. Miscommunications and blown coverages seemed to follow him, and his struggles were a recurring issue in a unit that prides itself on precision and execution. The decision to release Jackson, rather than bench him or give him more time to adapt, shows just how much the Ravens are prioritizing accountability this season. Earlier in the year, they benched both Jackson and Marcus Williams, another high-profile safety, in separate games to address performance issues. When that didn't yield the desired results, they doubled down, benching both players simultaneously in the matchup against the Steelers.
That bold move paid off defensively, with the Ravens not allowing a single touchdown in that game. While the team still lost, it was clear the defense had taken a step forward without the two struggling safeties on the field. Jackson's release also reignites discussions about the Ravens' offseason decisions regarding their secondary. Fans had debated all summer about who would fill the crucial third safety role after the success of that position in previous years. Many had hoped for Justin Simmons, a known playmaker, or even Jamal Adams, though opinions on Adams were mixed. Instead, the Ravens went with Eddie Jackson, a choice that didn't inspire universal confidence but was seen as a solid option at the time. Unfortunately, his tenure in Baltimore didn't pan out as planned. Looking back, this move seems to underline the Ravens' willingness to pivot quickly when things aren't working. It's not just about Jackson's struggles, but also about what this means for the team's culture. Baltimore has sent a clear message: no one is safe, not even high-profile players with big contracts. This is a team willing to make changes if it means improving performance and setting the standard for accountability across the roster. The decision to part ways with Jackson wasn't just about opening a spot for Christian Welch. It was a statement. This shift in approach from the Ravens is refreshing for some fans and concerning for others. It shows they're unafraid to address weaknesses directly, even if it means cutting ties with a player they once believed in. At the same time, it raises questions about what other moves could be on the horizon. Could we see similar decisions in other areas, like the secondary or even the offensive line? Players like Brandon Stevens, who has struggled as an outside corner this season, might also find themselves under scrutiny. Stevens, while versatile and capable, hasn't thrived in his current role, and teams have been targeting him consistently. Some fans believe he would be better utilized as a third safety or in a hybrid role, rather than as a primary corner. What's clear is that this season is unlike any other for the Ravens. The team is taking a no-nonsense approach, and every player knows their spot is only secure as long as they perform. Whether this strategy will pay off in the long run remains to be seen, but it certainly keeps things interesting. What do you think about the decision to release Eddie Jackson? Was it the right move, or should the Ravens have handled it differently? Share your thoughts below. We want to hear what the flock has to say. Eddie Jackson's release highlights a larger narrative within the Baltimore Ravens organization, a readiness to overhaul what isn't working. For years, fans have watched the team prioritize loyalty, often giving players extended chances to find their form. But this season feels different. The Ravens are taking a more aggressive stance, cutting ties with underperforming players and making roster adjustments that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. This decision to move on from Jackson comes amidst an ongoing reevaluation of the secondary, a unit that has historically been a strength for the Ravens but has struggled at times this season. Jackson's struggles weren't isolated. When he arrived in Baltimore, many hoped he would thrive alongside Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. On paper, this trio had the potential to form one of the league's most dynamic safety groups. Hamilton's versatility, Williams' veteran presence, and Jackson's ball-hawking skills seemed like a recipe for success. But reality didn't match the expectations. While Hamilton has continued to grow into a star player, Jackson often appeared out of sync, leading to costly breakdowns in coverage. Time and again, fans saw miscommunications result in big plays for opposing offenses, with Jackson frequently at the center of the problem. The Ravens' attempts to address these issues were evident throughout the season. Benching Jackson was the first step, and it was soon followed by similar action against Marcus Williams. It was a bold move, considering Williams' lucrative contract and reputation. Yet, the Ravens' defense performed remarkably well during the Steelers' game, where both safeties were sidelined. That success underscored a critical point: no one is above reproach. If you're not performing, changes will be made, no matter your status or salary. What lies ahead for the secondary and the rest of the roster remains to be seen. Will the Ravens continue this aggressive approach as the season progresses? Could other players find themselves on the chopping block if their performance doesn't improve? And how will these changes impact the team's chemistry and effectiveness in the long term? Ravens fans, we want to hear from you. Do you think releasing Eddie Jackson was the right move, or should the team have taken a different approach? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The flock always has something to say, and this is the time to let your voice be heard.